it moved.
We're on camera. Go.
We did spa towns for so spa towns are called bathing places or just simply a spa, and they're basically towns that are situated around some form of water, so that they can use the water to have a mineral spa or a hot spring spa or things like that. So originally people came there to take water for their health, and eventually they started to become the cool way to pamper yourself almost, and they still are, I guess. And now they offer hydrotherapy, mineral water treatments, and hot thermal treatments. So there are 15 spa towns in Russia, and today they still cater to the Russian elite because spas are obviously really expensive. And these are just some of the spa towns, and the ones that we're going to focus on are Pyatigorsk and Kislovodsk. And these are the two highlighted spa towns in A Hero of Our Time. And again, they were just people that went there, were the people with the money. And in the novel, we read about Pechorin going to spa towns throughout his childhood, and showing that he was part of the more elite group of people. And even when he's with Grushnitsky there in another spa town. So, do you guys think that going to spa towns affected Pechorin's character?
I think they probably did, because they probably just made him, from the beginning, realize that he was higher up in society, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They could have also given him that sense of boredom in life, that I don't have to work for anything.
Because he went to
Yeah, he's just pampered all the time.
Oh, so then it was just another means.
Yeah, he just got lazy.
By being pampered?
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is kind of the same. Do you think that going to the wealthy places made him feel superior, like you guys were saying that it most likely did, because he had all these people coming to him and catering to what he wanted? So do you think he was negatively impacted by going to these places?
I feel like he probably was, because if he's living a very entitled and privileged life throughout his youth, then he's going to feel entitled to kind of wealth and prosperity throughout his entire life, even if he doesn't feel like he has to work for it. So yeah, I think it probably affected his work ethic.
Yeah, I feel like it made him kind of feel like he that he deserves certain things, and so he just kind of thinks that he can just get whatever he wants, and that's why he just knows that he can get Princess Mary and Bella and all that.
Yeah, so it gave him the sense of confidence kind of that all of these people are coming to him, and maybe if it wasn't, well, maybe they were being paid to at the beginning, but he kind of just got the sense that everyone would come to him and cater to him.
Okay. So I did the part of Russian elite, and like Marguerite said, the spa towns basically
Just keep going.
basically consisted of just the Russian elite. So the acquisition of nobility. So in Russia, the nobility was bestowed upon a person for various reasons. One, there was hereditary nobility, which comes from a long line of military officers, if you're included in that family tree, I guess you could say. Any civil servants who attain the 8th rank of college assessor, and that rank is part of the table of ranks, which is just a list of military positions that the Russians had. And it's they have 3 sections of the table of ranks, and it's military, government, and court, and collegiate assessor is just one of those ranks. And then again, anyone who received a grade or rank within the order of the Russian Empire. So it basically just had to deal with like your involvement in the military and the government and so on. And this is a picture of like the table of ranks and obviously like handwritten and all that. It's really old. So the privileges of the nobility. Anyone who was considered like noble or like a Russian elite had the right to own estates and serfs on that estates or like servants. And they had the freedom from like mandatory military service. So, but I mean, you kind of get the Russian elite status by serving in the military. They had the right to attend these like certain educational institutes, which were only for the Russian elite or like whoever was considered the nobility. They had an exemption from corporal punishment, and they had a right to bear and use a coat of arms, which that's the like coat of arms on the Russian flag, I think. And then obviously they a privilege was spa towns. Okay, so there's 4 categories of nobility. There's titled nobility, which is the highest category, and that would be like a prince or a count or a baron. There's hereditary nobility, which was, like I said, transferred basically to the like family of a military officer, like the wife and kids of a military officer. But in special cases, the emperor could transfer nobility through a female bloodline. So it just depends on the situation, really. But traditionally, it was through a male bloodline. And then personal nobility was only for the wife of the noble, and it wasn't really considered that prestigious of the nobility, I guess you could say. And then unproperty nobility, that was just gained by state service. So it didn't entitle a person to too much, especially land ownership, like the title nobility. Okay, so when Russians are considered noble, they don't have really like a surname. Like in French, they go, or in German, they begin with like von something. In French, like de something. Is that right? But it was like rather how they were greeted. So if there was some, the greetings depended on a person's like status in the Russian nobility. So it'd be like your nobility, your high ancestry. And then the spa towns were basically these places where the Russian elite went to talk about politics and like kind of like gossip, I guess you could say. And they were, again, really exclusive to include only the members of the Russian elite. Okay, so here's some questions. And we touched upon like some of these things in the last discussion. So there's, I mean, obvious connections, but what connections can you make between a hero of our time and the Russian elite, especially in regards to Pechorin's character? Ellery?
It kind of showed like how the different types of nobility like interact with each other, because Pechorin obviously wasn't a titled noble person, but
Right.
he still kind of hung with like Princess Mary and her mom and everyone.
Yeah, and I think it definitely speaks to the different ranks of nobility because, yeah, Pechorin was considered like, he was probably like one of the lower classes of nobility, but I think one of the things that like was behind his deception of all these people and like social climbing was that desire to like attain the higher rank, maybe. Okay, so do you think that Pechorin's actions reflected a desire to be part of the Russian elite? I kind of just said that. I think it's just, again, that social climbing, I guess you could say, within the ranks of nobility.
It probably comes from like, if we say just to like the author's compensation for his unpopularity.
Right.
So you make Pechorin like want to be in the elite as well.
Yeah, I think that could be like a reflection of like his personal, like Lermontov's personal desires, his craftiness.
Well, and I would say he was part of the Russian elite.
Yeah, I mean like climbing into the Russian elite, I guess you could say. And then we already touched on that. Kind of specifically, do you think that the privileged life, like being a part of the Russian elite and going to these spa towns, led Peckrin feeling entitled to Princess Mary, and then led to the duel on Grushnitsky's death.
I think, like, the fact that he was the leader or whatever just made him cocky and stuff, and made him think he could have whatever he wanted, I guess. So he just thought if he wanted Princess Mary,
Yeah.
she was his.
He should be able to have her. And I think that definitely led to him being, like, angry with Grushnitsky, I guess, and dueling with him, and ultimately his death. So, Connor.
It could also be the fact that, like, or not fact, but like my thoughts were he has never really had much competition in his life.
Right.
Because he never really had to fight for something, and then when some competition arose, he just kind of found it as his plaything, his project.
Right. So he took it differently than anybody else would normally, I guess. Mrs. Craft.
Yeah, I also kind of similarly, I was just thinking that they kind of see themselves as, oh God, what's the word? Untouchable, as immortal, you know, since they've always been so privileged. So they didn't look at dueling as scary as the loss of their
Right.
life, because they always thought they'd come out on top. They've come out on top every other time.
Ellery.
I think that, as, like, at the beginning of Princess Mary, Grushnitsky wasn't, like, a decorative officer, like, he was really low ranking, but then once he got his promotion, he thought, oh, Princess Mary's going to love me now, like, he kind of led her to believe that he was hired for the military, and he was to make her be attracted to him, so I think that was definitely part
Right.
of it.
Okay. Okay, so the first spa town that I'm going to talk about is Kizlavodisk, or however you pronounce that, I'm not really sure. But, and this is basically this is one of the, I think this is the second spa town that we saw Peckrin visit after it was when Vera left the, yeah. Okay. So this is about Kizlavodisk, like, okay. So it's a really small town, and it has about 160,000 people in it. And over the years, basically, people who have gone there are aristocrats and tourists and the elite and everything. So, and it also has been affected by many wars and invasions, which we can see from the text, and obviously the military was there and everything. And it's one of the most popular spa towns in Russia. So this is a picture of what it looks like, and this is a current picture. Okay, and this is geographical information about Kizlavodisk, and so it's located in the Caucasus Mountains, and there's a nature reserve there, and it has, as Marguerite was talking about, it's stationed on where mineral water is found, and it's called Narzan water there, and I guess it's like extremely popular, and this is pictures of Narzan water, and this is in Kizlavodisk, and so are these. And this is like the natural. Okay, so attractions. So one of the first things was the Ethnology Museum, and that is a current place, but it used to be a fortress from 1803, which I'm guessing, well, it was around the time that this book was written. And then there's the Kizlavodisk Theater and the Narzan Gallery, which is built over a mineral spring, and that is the Narzan water where they get them for the spas. And then the other sites are the Honey Waterfall and the Castle of Weil and Love and the Valley of Roses. Okay, and then one of the quotes that talked directly about Kislavadis this